Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, your creativity and spiritual life coach and your host of Her Conversations, Tools for the Awakening. Her is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. This is the optimal state to embody in order to attract our highest desires. What is the awakening? This is the moment in time when humanity rises up out of the darkness. Who is awakening? Each one of us present on earth today, reclaiming our sovereignty, seeking greater possibilities in our reality and looking for solutions. We know being awakened is not a lofty ideal but a necessity. If we can transform ourselves, we can change the world. Guests on Her Conversations will speak to your spirituality, sensuality and soul. Listen to their stories and hear how they are in service to the world. Let their words and these conversations embolden and inspire you. Before the episode this week with Janice Tverberg, I'd like to share with you the next Creative Confidence workshop will be taking place on Tuesday, the 10th of September. That's Tuesday, the 10th of September. So there's a day change next month. As always, I will be helping you to rediscover your creative abilities and share with you spiritual practices to enhance your creativity, so that you're able to integrate your creativity into all aspects of your life. The link to that is below. Also, if you haven't discovered already, I have a sister podcast to Her Conversations. Her Inspirations is where I riff with you on the solo episodes about all things creativity and spirituality. Links to that are all in the show notes below. My guest this week is Janice Tverberg, a Reiki Master Teacher, intuitive medium and self-care coach who is committed to ensuring her clients reach their self-care goals. She is also the host of her podcast, Unique Peace. During our conversation, Janice shares about her work and talks about her creativity and her 90 days of self-reflection journal, which she created for teenagers and adults looking to start journaling. So as always, I begin by asking my guest, HER is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. When do you feel that higher energetic resonance?
I feel the most higher energetic resonance when I am at peace and when I am working on other people through Reiki or bringing in peace. I feel that that's just where I'm at my center, at my core, where I can be the most peaceful and that beacon of light we all like to see.
And before we get into the rest of the conversation, Janice, please just share with the listeners who you are and how you got to be the woman and doing the work that you are doing today.
I am a Reiki Master Teacher and a self-care coach. And the journey was kind of long. Started, a lot of things start back in childhood and never really feeling like I fit in or I belong. And you when you're young, you get sad and you're like, what's wrong with me? In adolescence, you just want to fit in. And I never was able to do either of those things. It wasn't really until college that I found my true friends. They just liked me the way I am. I didn't have to be anybody. They didn't know me. I went away to school, so it was nice. It was kind of like hitting a reset button. They didn't know me. So it was great to okay, let's see what happens when I just be me. And that's when I really found out that I don't have to change for anybody else. I can be me and they can be them. We can respect and love each other's differences and still be friends. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up in an abusive relationship and marriage, and some things were just not right. I went back to that low self-esteem, low self-worth, and not knowing what I did wrong. And then along the way, I've always kind of been different. I've always felt different. Like, might sound weird, but like, Earth isn't my home and I don't want to be here anymore. This vacation took a wrong turn. You have bad road trips. And then I discovered Reiki, and that really helped me. It's like, oh, it was a light switch. This is how I'm supposed to help people. This is how I'm going to help people. In fact, by learning Reiki for myself, it helped me get through a very tumultuous divorce and that very difficult period of time of getting safely out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And Reiki has also helped me as a self-care coach because all of the principles of Reiki I carry into my coaching. And my coaching is definitely for people who are ready to take that step of, I need to take care of myself. How do I take care of myself? And can you help me? And the question is yes. The answer to that question is yes. And it's really when you are ready, the teacher will appear. That is that is so true. That has been everything I've lived through and everything I want to embody.
I want to talk about self-care. Let's start there. And it seems, or it would seem, maybe it's a social media thing, that it's something that has gotten spoken about more and more over the past years, I'd say at least the past decade. That comes more and more to the fore. Why do you think that now is the time that uh, people are talking about self-care, and then also embracing the idea and being unapologetic about needing self-care and going for it?
For me personally, in my observation of like why now, we're coming up on a generation. If you go generationally, you had our great grandparents, the silent generation. You did it and you muddled through. And then you have post World War II, which would be the boomers. And again, they were raised by the silent generation. You just did it, you go, you accept things. Then you kind of hit where I'm at, and a lot of people of our generation, the Gen Xers, where it's like, okay, we were kind of raised, but then we were raised on our own. And between the two, now we're in a sandwich situation where we're trying to raise kids and help our family, our parents, our, anybody of the older generation that is close to us. So where do we put ourselves? We put ourselves at the bottom. So because we put ourselves at the bottom and we don't really take care of ourselves, we were never taught really how to. And without being armed with that knowledge, we can't share it with others. So now is the time to say, okay, take a step back and say, what do I need to do? Do I need to take that 5 minute break? Do I need to take a meditation hour? Do I need to exercise? Do I need to eat right? These are all self-care things. Um, and self-care is very prevalent right now, but there's a right way. And then there's the, is it this way? I'm not saying there's a wrong way because everyone defines self-care differently. But at its core, it's about caring for your being so you don't get sick, so you can be there for others, so that you don't feel overwhelmed, burnt out, alone. Because when you take care of yourself, there's this notion that you're being selfish. And it's not really about selfish. It's about, I can't take care of you if I'm in a hospital. I can't take care of the kids if I'm married to my job. So you taking that time and really saying, okay, I need an hour a day. Give me an hour a day. There, I'm not sure if all the listeners will be familiar, but there used to be a bubble bath commercial for adults called, it was for Calgon, and it would be Calgon, take me away. And that commercial kind of encapsulates what so many people need to do and just take that long bubble bath. The kids will still be there. The partner will still be there. The parents will still be there. The job will still be there. You have all of those responsibilities, but you still need to take care of you. Mm. And I think the prevalence now is so many people are getting burnt out. They're giving up. They're just like, they say F it and they want to be done. They don't want to do it anymore. But if they took that half an hour to an hour to themselves, it's like, okay, I can do this. I can, I can get through my work day. Okay, and we just got a couple more doctor's appointments. You have dance when, and just able not to cope, but not feel like you're coping. Mm-hmm. It helps to alleviate burnout. It helps to alleviate the why am I doing this? Is it worth it anymore?
Thank you. Because we're just in this like changing world that now is like accelerating into like unknown spaces, and I think it's getting to the point where people are like you need some level of individual awareness and care, because everyone's going to be as freaked out as you are trying to figure out what's happening. So we're not going to be able to give to each other yet before we kind of fill each other up and ground ourselves into, you know, our souls and our and all that is around us, and whatever you cling to in times of trial. Because I think that right now, in order to be able to go through what we need to go through to get to the other side of what I'm envisaging, or what we believe is on the other side of this real shift and this change, self-care is a requirement, really. And I would think also, maybe, I don't know what you would say about this, as if you were aware of being around people who are not caring for themselves, to encourage them to find a level of self-care, so that there doesn't become this almost this codependency, where they're coming to you to bolster themselves up, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, you know, building that within themselves. And um you know, just looking around in my own experiences as well, feeling that there are times where I've just had to step back, in recent times even, step back from people lovingly, and just give them more space, because I felt that being there for them all the time wasn't helping them. And it, you know, I was always, you know, like willingly wanting to be the carer, wanting to serve people, wanting to help them, but oftentimes helping them is not helping them at all. It's not giving the opportunity to learn. And it's like, you will be stronger by standing on your own, instead of calling me all the time, or expecting me to kind of fix the problems that you find yourself in time and time again. Um, how do you encourage people when they're feeling lost in their, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to start, or even, you know, feeling maybe abandoned, or feeling that they have to make space around the responsibilities that are maybe theirs, or have been laden on them by others who kind of depend on them in a way that's verging on unhealthy?
I would say first and foremost that I kind of help people take a step back, and I give them their space by listening to them and seeing where their pain points are, whether that's always being there for someone else, or if they just have gotten to give up point, like it's not even worth it anymore, and see where their self-love, self-confidence, self-worth is at that moment, and meet them there. And we just build up. We take it one step at a time. We acknowledge where they're at, where they want to go, and develop a step, baby step. You know, don't worry about the staircase, just worry about the next step up, and the next step up, and the next step up. And for those who are high achievers, it's the work, it's work. It's going to be there. As somebody who's worked in HR, it's the work that they care about, not necessarily the people they care about. I care about the people. So it's reminding them, you're a person. You are not your job. You're not the work. They worry about their kids. There comes a certain point, and my grandmother gave the best advice, and it was before I had kids. You just raise them the best you can and send them out and hope you did a good job.
Mm.
Um, that's kind of hard to hear, but it's true. They get to a point, um, my son is 17, gets to a point where, okay, I have to release you into the wild soon, so I have to step back. And as a parent, it's hard to step back because you see the mistakes that are happening or are happening, and you just have to say, that's their lesson, and let them learn that this is one of those times where you step back, and it is about self-care. Like, you can't be there for them. What are they going to do if they move to another state and you're not there to help them. They have to figure it out. So do you. And that is a self-care thing, because you have to break that. You have to say, okay, I'm still here for you, but I can't do it for you. You can only do it for yourself. And those are some hard lessons that sometimes we just don't learn until much later in life. I'll be honest, I didn't really learn it until my 30s. I was a people pleaser. I'll do anything for my boss. I'm there for my kids. I'll stay in this abusive relationship for my kid. Please don't ever do that. That is not a good idea. And there are resources to help. And then being there for your parents. It's like, okay, be there for your parents, but remember, they're adults too. They should, remind them that, hey, you're acting like a kid. And as children, even as adults, it's hard to say, no, mom, but we have to. And that's stepping into that confidence and that self-worth and that boundary, lovingly stepping away, as you said, and saying, no, I think you got this. And I'm over here. And if you really need me, I'll see it and I'll be there. And self-care is about taking that boundary and making that boundary. You're not abandoning anybody. You're actually abandoning yourself when you're always there for someone else. Right. It might have been a long-winded answer. I apologize.
No, I appreciate the depth of it as well, and especially when you're talking about abandoning yourself to, there's this kind of level of martyrdom that feels kind of righteous. That I'm doing for someone, I'm doing the right thing. Look, everybody, look what I'm doing as well, because then it becomes to an extent performative. There's there's a balance where it's you do it, and then you almost feel, I've been in a situation like this where you're doing it and then you feel kind of backed in by the choice that you've made to do that. Because I know when I had to make certain choices where I had to be like, I need to figure out my life. I'm not in a position to help anyone because I can just barely help myself. And my existence has been based around how well I'm doing for somebody else. But I'm then also very much aware of my life not being attended to. And there becomes that, I do want to do, but then also I'm aware of time passing, and not like it's ever too late, but I just felt that I wanted to be involved in certain things that I wasn't giving my full attention to because I was always being called to do something else. And then when I chose not to, on the occasions when I'm like, I really need to try and make something work for myself here, but all of the guilt and then the accusation of being selfish and uncaring and you don't deserve and you don't know, and it's a hard place to be in. It's a hard place to be in. And especially when the gallery is telling you that, like, the voices are coming and saying like all that you're doing is wrong, and really not seeing things from your own point of view, but having to, knowing in your soul, like for myself, knowing that I needed to move away, and often forgetting that I was being asked to do things for an adult's thing for an adult, when I was still a child myself and didn't have the tools or the awarenesses or the perspective of life to really kind of be effective in that in any way, shape or form. So I know I know how hard it can be, but then I also know what liberation comes from that. And I think we spoke about peace before, and you said it earlier as well, the idea of peace. True peace came from me when I came out of that people pleasing or doing for others, because it was peace in that I could find where I was, who I was, when I'm not doing for other people. Who am I when I'm not doing for other people out of duty? And there's and when I'm saying duty, like we have a duty to be kind to each other to an extent, but not to the detriment of our own growth and expansion.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was finding the sweet spot of that, where it was where it was good for me, because it will never be understood by others, because they have an idea of what you should be doing. So they're never going to get it, really, because you're never doing what
No, they're not. And it's an ego thing and it's a vibration thing. You have to, you know, personally, you have to work up to that vibration. And when you do that, you may lose people, you may anger people, you may frustrate people, but you've got to stand in that vibration and try not to go back and just keep going higher. And what can be very frustrating, as somebody who's trying to come to that next level or be of self-confidence, and you come off, especially to parents or bosses, as stubborn, strong-willed, unappreciative. You're not grateful for everything I've done for you. You know, you hear those voices and it's like, no, I got to do this for me. And those people will either remain frustrated and you have to still stand by your boundaries, or they fall away and you find people who will want to rise up with you. Yeah. I mean, I know that for me personally, I literally had to physically move away. Not that I don't love my parents, but I had to physically move away from them for that exact reason.
And I hear that said so many times as well, that there's a, you know, like I had to just literally be as as far away as possible, you know, but within distance, that should anything come, I could, you know, I could be there if needs be, or if all that I could offer at that point in time is a phone call, then that needs to suffice sometimes as well.
Absolutely.
Which is the harder part, right? But talk about your own journey as well, a little bit more as well, into why you chose this area of coaching, of all the areas that you could have gone into. Why did this really resonate for you?
Because I wanted to be very specific. We hear life coaching, and it's very saturated. It's also like business coach. For me, I wanted to really focus on the individual. Because when you take care of yourself, then you can take care of the other areas at a greater, from a better perspective of like, okay, should I continue working in this business? Should I continue leading my life this way? Well, you really got to get to know yourself first. And that's where the self-care comes in. It's like, that's why fitness trainers specialize in fitness, and why nutritionists specialize in nutrition. They have that niche that will help you in the broader spectrum. And I've been told, oh, you're a life coach. No, I'm a self-care coach. I don't like necessarily correcting people, but it's like, I help you take care of yourself. That will help you in your life on a broader spectrum. And the difference for me personally is a life coach will help you in every facet of your life, from business to managing relationships to, you know, even a bit of self-care. I focus solely on the pillars of self-care, helping you find and stand in your own self-worth and your own self-confidence. I cut through the BS. You can give me 1,000 reasons, and I hear excuses disguised as reasons. I can't this because of this, and this. And it's like, I remind people, and it's not a fun lesson, that you run the day or the day runs you. If you have that open space for a meeting for business, why didn't you take that hour for yourself? If you can't do it in the morning because of kids and getting ready for work, and you have a bunch of things in the middle of the day, why can't you do it at the end of the day? But I can't, and this and that. You run your day. You are putting on the calendar when you are going to take care of yourself. And a life coach will coach you through how to deal with all these situations and meetings and managing your time. And a business coach will teach you how to run your business. Self-care coach will teach you how to take care of yourself. And that means one of those meetings on that calendar should be you. And that's really why I the nitty-gritty of self-care is making the time. What do you do in that time? Do you meditate? Do you journal? Do you exercise? Do you just sit in silence? Do you walk the dog? Do you go hide in your car? I've done that. I've done that. Do you go, go to the gym? Because exercise, you can do exercise at home. So do you physically have to go to the gym to exercise? Do you, it's about what do you do when you give yourself that hour of taking care of just you? What do you want to do?
Mm.
So.
Right. And when you started on your own journey of self-care, kind of healing yourself and moving from all of the things that had happened to you and like closing the door on that, and now stepping towards a brighter part of yourself and a newer part of your experience, what were some of the surprising things that came up for you in terms of what you learnt about what you've been through or why you'd been through it, or any aspect of that? Because sometimes I think when we go on this journey, we just think of the light and the laughter and everything, but there are always like very interesting things that pop up around the sides that we never really expect. But it's always interesting to find out, what each person's experience is. So I'd love to hear from you, like some of the surprising revelations.
Everything that I use in coaching, I've done myself. So some of the surprising things is when you reflect and you journal, you learn your part in it. A lot of people don't want to see their part in it. You learn your part in it. It's like if you look back at some of my journals, you're like, I contributed to this. And the reasons, it's like once I found out I am a morning person, and that is as painful as it is sometimes to get up at 5, getting up consistently and doing it consistently really helps me, because I get up at 5, and then by 7 I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Everybody else is behind. And they're not, they're just moving at their own pace. But my train is already taken off. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move in. It takes that self-discipline and to say, I can do this. I can do this for me. Baby steps. And what I learned is I can take those baby steps. I can make those small little changes, and those small little changes over time do make a big difference. I've found that no matter how many voices bombard me and try and tell me that I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not worth it, worthless, what have you, I can say no. I can say I disagree, or I ask why. Now, when you point the question as to why, they're like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay. And I was always that why child, even when I was young. But why? But why? But why? To the point of where some adults would just like, can you go away?
Yeah, I resonate with that.
um, so learning that, okay, we all play a part. We're all in this dance together, and whoever we're dancing with at the time, that's our partner. So where are we stepping on toes? Where did I step on toes? Where did I go wrong? And taking that time to self-reflect and saying, okay, don't do this in the future, or try not to do this in the future, because sometimes, let's face it, we're creatures of habit. Sometimes we repeat more often than not, but just keep going. Just keep going. It's like, okay, I did that again, but in this way. It's kind of like you keep learning the lessons. The lesson is the same, but the teachers are different until you really learn that lesson.
Yeah, got it. Good. And what do you have in your mind for your business and how you want to expand your practice going forward? What do you see for yourself, and how do you see that slotting into the way that the world is potentially changing?
Seeing the way the world is potentially changing, it's very important to teach people to take care of themselves so that we can take care of each other. Because we're going to be moving into this collective, and utopia usually often leads to dystopia, and we're kind of heading towards utopia. I'm going to say that out loud. I don't want to, but we are.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
And in that, you have to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And so expanding the business of teaching people how to take care of themselves so that they can take care of others, not to be kumbaya, sitting by a river, it's just me, I'm taking care of myself, kind of what people associate with self-care. That makes it seem selfish versus like, okay, I need to take a minute to take care of myself so I can think, process, assess, and then like, okay, being a little bit, taking the spiritual and the intellectual and working it together so that you can help in the 3D, to where you're not so high up and where you're not low at all. You're just kind of like right here in the presence and moving towards helping others. But you can't do that if you don't take care of yourself. Because when you expel all of your energy, you're no good to anybody. You're exhausted. You're burnout. You're like, I can't move forward. We take that moment. And again, I just say an hour a day. Start with 5 minutes a day, and you just water yourself. Mm-hmm. And when you water yourself, you can water others and teach others the same principles. So kind of like expanding just by teaching 5 people, you have helped 5 people who can go out and help 5 people who can go out and help 5 people, and it's exponential.
Yeah, great. What are some of your go-to self-care practices? What do you like?
I am a big journal. I'm a journaler. I like to write. I'm a writer. I have a master's in it, so I'm like, you can see me with a book and pen, no problem. I love meditation. And meditation is one of the hardest practices because everyone thinks you have to sit there and the yogi pose and you can quiet your mind. Meditation is over practice and time. You can get to that. And it's really your mind is never quiet. It's just learning how to not acknowledge thoughts that can become intrusive or bothersome. Or, it's like, oh, I have to do the laundry. It's like, that's nice. You acknowledge that you have to do the laundry and let it go. And then you get to the point of where those thoughts don't pop in. Mm-hmm. And what's great about meditation is it does help find more answers to any question or struggle or challenge you may be having. If you can quiet your mind, get centered and say, why am I feeling like this? Or what is my body trying to tell me? Or why didn't that seem right? Because when we ignore our intuition, if we go into meditation, it makes more sense. So those are my 2 go-tos. Mm-hmm. Like when all else fails, when I feel like I'm going to cry, when I feel I'm going to give up, when I want to scream, all right, where am I to?
And do you incorporate the Reiki into your coaching?
Yes, I do. Because I just love the fundamental principles of Reiki, and they're life lessons. It's not just being on the table, and it's their life lessons. Just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will not. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. I will be grateful for everything. I will be kind and compassionate to myself and others. That's the thing. You have to be kind and compassionate to yourself. That's the basis of self-care. You're showing yourself some compassion and love. Mm-hmm. So I definitely embody all 5 principles. I incorporate them into the practice. And it helps me with others trying to heal themselves from a broken relationship, repair their relationship with their self-worth and connect them to their self-confidence, and just let them know that they are supported by God, the universe, whatever being they want to call the higher realms, that is always there for you and you can tap in.
You said you were a writer. Did you say you have a book? I'm looking at my notes here.
I don't have a book. I have a collection of poetry.
Tell me about that.
It was a cathartic journaling. It was It's my thesis, and it starts back to a lot of pain and trauma, starting back from childhood and going through my tumultuous, abusive marriage. And it was very cathartic. It helped to get it out, in a very artistic way, in a way that helps others. That's like, oh, you're speaking my language. Oh, I get that. Oh, I hadn't thought about things like that. And I, I love poetry, because it can be raw, honest, and artistic all at the same time. And they're microscopic stories. Even long poems are microscopic stories. They're just a small, tiny part of a whole. But they mark that point in time, kind of like a vignette. They mark that point in time. And that's why I love writing poetry over prose. I have been told many times over that, oh, you'll be writing a book. And I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for that inspiration to come. I have more, I feel like I speak more artistically and almost granularly to those who really need the healing and the help through poetry. And that's a very specific niche. I mean, you make no money as a poet. You really don't. But it's a labor of love. It's a great satisfaction.
How can people connect with your poetry? Where is that available to?
It's not published as of yet. I do share it, but it's not published as of yet.
So you're keeping it all to yourself?
I'm not keeping it to myself on purpose. I just haven't found that right. I want to go through a publisher. I don't want to self-publish. I mean, I do have a journal that people can buy on Amazon through my website, and that's just 90 days of kickstarting your journaling journey for your internal purposes to help you kind of like start on that self-healing journey. People are like, I can't journal. And I thought, I can't meditate. And it's like, well, if I give you a prompt, you can think about that and meditate on that for a minute and then just go.
Oh, that's interesting. So what prompted you to design and create the journal?
A lot of people, a lot of my clients, I feel could be helped by writing things out. And so many don't know where to start. So I was like, okay, I can help with this. And it's 90 days. It's a jumpstart 90 days. And it's every day is a new prompt. You read that, you think about it for a few minutes, and then you just write it out, what's ever in. It's like an automatic writing exercise. And automatic writing for those writers out there, I know is hard, but it is very cathartic as well. It's like, I am beautiful. List all the ways you are beautiful. And you just write. And and then it's a small journal, again, and only 90 days, but it's a good way to get started. And when you look back, you're like, all these awesome things about yourself.
Yeah.
So I made sure it was tied to the self-care, and part of that self-care is building up that self-confidence, that self-worth, that self-love, that motivation to say, I am worth it, and I'm going to do this.
90 days is a good chunk of time, to commit to, and if you commit to it, like make some real kind of shifts as well. So even though you might think it's only 90 days, it's it's a good portion of the year.
It's a good portion of the year, and it takes 66 days. They've done scientific research. It takes 66 days to build a new habit or break an old habit. I take you past that. Like, if you can last 90 days, you can keep going. It's like that long hike. It's like, why'd I sign up for this 10-mile hike? And now you're stuck. And so you just keep going. But it's worth it. When you get to that vista, you're like, this is worth it. This was worth all that hard work. So that's how I kind of explain it. It's like, I take you past the oh, I've made a new habit, I'm good. And it's like, but you could fall back. So let's just keep going.
Build on it. Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful sharing from you as well. And tell me, where can everybody find out about your work and find out more about you and get connected with what you do?
They can go to my website, which is thequiethealer.com, all one word. It's thequiethealer.com. And everything about me is there. My self-care practice, my information about Reiki, buying the journal, learning more about me. You can find my socials there. I have a podcast that the episodes are all listed there. So that's where people can find me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Janice. I appreciate you.
Thank you. It was wonderful being on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janice, for sharing with me, and thank you for listening. If you are enjoying these episodes, I would encourage you to leave a review and also share this episode with someone you feel will benefit from the wisdom of my guest. Also, you can find out more about me on my website, carolmaywhittick.com, CarolMaywhittick. Find me on social media, Carol May Whittick on LinkedIn and Facebook, Casmic, CAZMICK on Instagram. Until the next episode, take care, have an amazing week. Bye-bye.